So I've been involved in multiple businesses over the years, different industries, uh, different sizes, and I've learned quite a lot. And I thought I'd start making some videos because they might help other people. The reason for this is just because my brother's recently set something up, and he's going through those stages now that I can help him with. But I I would say that if everybody could have that opportunity to be able to learn just the basics, it might give you that kick up the arse to take the next step and actually set something up that might lead to a better future for you and your family if you've got one. Um, but the things that you need to consider really initially is the opportunity, the idea, the business idea. You don't need to have a massively extensive business plan because that'll develop over time anyway. But having an initial idea, this is how I'm going to sell it, this is how I'm going to market it, and having confidence that you can actually commit to delivering whatever it is that you're going to do, because that's the main thing. It's, you might have an idea, you might be able to set something up, but then you might lose interest, and then in 6 months' time, it's just a failed business that you've got under your belt. Um, the good thing is to surround yourself with people or mentors that can give you some account or hold you accountable to your actions to make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do to make it successful. Now, you can find these anywhere, obviously online. There's loads of gurus out there that probably give you some sort of mentorship or business coaching, things like that. So, yeah, they're definitely out there. Or it could just be a friend that's interested in doing something similar, and you can just hold each other accountable, or a family member. It's completely up to you which way you go with that. But first of all, you really need to understand these company structures, because depending on how much you're going to earn in the business would depend on what sort of company structure you would have. So you've got things like sole trader, which is kind of similar to just being employed in a way. You're still going to get hammered by tax if you earn a lot of money, um, and there's no real way of protecting your profits in that sort of instance, as far as I'm aware of. I might be wrong, but as far as I'm aware of, sole trader is like having a job basically, and you have to adhere to the standard tax rules that you would have if you were employed, and everything is taxable as well at that point, obviously outside of your annual allowance. Limited companies are better because you can house the profits within a business. You don't have to take them straight away. You can issue shares. If you've got partnerships, you've got different share allocations, so everybody's entitled to dividends. Um, and also you can reinvest money as well, so you can pay the tax on the corporation tax side, and then you can actually reinvest that money into other things as well. So um, that's probably, I would say limited companies are the best way, especially if you get VAT registered and you can claim the VAT back on the spends. Always good. And then there's another way you can go a holding company, then a business underneath that, and that protects profits as well, so you can move profits between other businesses within the holding company or the group of companies. Again, you need to learn about these things because setting up right from the start is going to benefit you down the road. So it depends on the conviction you've got for your business. If you think, right, this business has definitely got the potential to make seven figures, you definitely want to be looking at holding companies, because you will eventually think, well, I'll set up a property business, I'll set up an investment company, and you want to move profits out of your cash flowing business into an investment business so that you can actually allocate that capital to grow in other things like property. But again, individual, all everybody's different. You're best off probably getting some advice first and actually thinking about where you want to be in like 10 years time, because these things change as well. Like when I set up my first business, um, that I didn't really know anything about, you know, reallocating profits into other businesses under a group of companies and all that sort of stuff. And then you kind of get stuck then because there's a cost to transfer shares into a holding company. So if you, let's say you set up a business on your own and that business generates multiple six figures and it's doing great with profit and all that sort of stuff, the only way to get that money out is to pay yourself as a dividend or PAYE, and you're paying tax on that. And if you don't actually need the money, but you need to get the money out of the business, then tax has to be paid. There's a taxable point when that money's moved from the business to wherever it goes. Now, if it's in a holding company, the profit from that business can be moved into the holding company post corporation tax payment. So let's say you've got I don't know, £100,000 profit that's the corporation tax has already been paid on. That money can be moved into the holding company and protected there, and then reallocated. If you set up another business under the holding company, that profit can be moved into there as an investment to spend on an asset, I suppose, or to even just set up a new business. So, and that's a tax-free movement as well. Now, you'll need to speak to accountants, make sure you get good accountants as well, because that's quite important. But we'll go a bit deeper into that further into the video. So I'll share a screen and you can see the different type of company structures, partnerships, limited liability partnerships. Now, again, I would always pursue a limited liability or a limited company, probably the best way, and that's the way I've always done it as well. So you can get VAT registered straight away. You don't have to wait till you hit the VAT threshold. You can actually register a business, get your UTR number, set your bank account up, get VAT registered straight away, and then start trading. So you can claim VAT back from the moment you set up the company. Now, I think there is a 2-year lag maybe that you can actually set up VAT incorporate up to 2 years after and claim the VAT back beforehand. I'm not sure entirely on the length of time that you can do that, but I've always done it from the beginning. If the company needs to be VAT registered at some point anyway, you might as well do it straight away. And setting up a limited company is pretty easy. You just go onto the Gov website, go through the registration process, and you can set this up within an hour. Just need a few details, but it actually gives you clear instruction here, and it's £50 to set up a limited company. So you can get an accountant to do this for you, or you can do it yourself. An accountant might charge you about £120 for this, but for 50 quid, which is going to cost you anyway, whether you do it through an accountant or not, you can actually do this yourself. You don't need to go through an accountant. Now, the only other thing I would say, caveat to that, is a limited company right for you? Because we don't know. I don't know who you are. I don't know what your business is or the opportunity that you've got. It could be that you might just have to be a sole trader. No idea. But that's probably a 1-hour process to get set up as a limited company anyway. Again, you need some information in there. Is it just you? Is it you and a few partners? You need all this information here to go through. And the form, it's not tricky, but there's some questions in there that you might not understand. And also, if you're allocating shares to other people, do you need a shareholders agreement? Do you need something a bit more bespoke than what's the standard? Do you need to get a solicitor involved to draw up a shareholders agreement so that you all know exactly what you're doing, what the agreement is set out from the start, and then there'll be less arguments down the road if ever there are any, because partnerships can be quite brutal, and verbal agreements at the beginning can bite you on the arse down the road. So, I would say that you probably would need some advice in a partnership just in case, because everybody might be aligned at the beginning, but this can change over time. Depends how much money's involved. Depends on who's doing most of the work. All these things you need to consider, because you might have the idea, you may be the guy that is going to do all the work, but the other guys might not understand that. Like, there might be a point in time where you want to take more money out as salary because you're doing all the work, and they might not be happy with that. But have you agreed it at the beginning? Because this is the important part. Is it in writing? Have you agreed it all? Is everybody on the same page? If this happens, this is the outcome. These are things you need to consider. So definitely you'd need legal advice if you were going down a partnership route where there's, only you would understand the circumstances that involve that. But if you've got an idea and it's just you on your own, and it's an idea that can make multiple six figures, limited company is definitely right for you anyway. Other things to consider. So once you've registered, I mean, obviously, first of all, you'd be going for a bank account. So you wait for your UTR number to come in. Could take up to 2 weeks, I think. But then once you've got your UTR number, you can register a business bank account. Which business bank account's right for you, I have no idea. Again, this is all subjective to who you are, what you're comfortable with. If you want to go with like one of the big branches, or do you want to just go with something like Monzo or I think Starling online app banks? So you don't, they've got no branches, but they've got, an application that you can use. Now these ones are probably cheaper, quicker to set up, probably less restrictions. But, if you go with somebody like HSBC or Santander, things like that, then, very reputable banks. Money's probably better protected in there if you're making a lot of money. And these are things that you have to consider before setting up a bank account as well. GDPR compliance. This is definitely, you will definitely get letters about this anyway. Depending on what you do, you don't always have to register for this. So if you've got a company that doesn't transfer any data, doesn't handle any employees' data or anything like that, it's just you, and all the information that's in the business is yours, you can actually deregister from this, and they won't pursue you to pay it. But it's about £40 a year, I think, £35–40 a year. But if you're handling data, so the company that this one behind us, Cloud Dolphin, we have to be registered with the ICO, and we have to be on the register for compliance. But you might not have to. So again, just look at it, go on the website, make sure that you're compliant, and then pay it if you need to pay it. The next thing I would say is accounting software, because it depends again on the business, because your business might just be, I don't know, making one transaction a month. Now, or if you're a sole trader, again, you won't need this, because you'll just do a self-assessment once a year, and your accountant to that, it probably costs you about 250 quid, 200 quid, and you don't need any accounting software. But I've always used Xero. Some people have always swear by QuickBooks, some Sage. Again, depends on who you are, scalability and all that sort of stuff. But Xero's worked well for everything that I've ever done. And they offer, I mean, obviously there's a 75% off. They all offer incentives at the beginning as well. So I would always aim to try and get something for free for as long as you can, because when you're setting up a business, you've got no income. So do you really want to pay for something like this, like bank accounts, £8 a month, but you can get a free period of 12 months, which gives you a little bit of a head start if you're, not making any money yet, because where's the money going to come from to get the business off the ground, to pay for all these subscriptions? It's going to come from your pocket. You're going to have to put a director's loan into the business, which is fine because the business will always owe you that money back. But initially, you want to try and curb the expenses as much as possible so that you're not actually spending any money initially until the company's making money. Again, this comes with experience. So, you don't want to set a business up, be like, right, I'm getting a phone, I'm getting a laptop, I'm getting an office, I'm getting a car, because you're paying for all of that stuff through your director's loan. And then if the business doesn't go past 6 months, then you basically, you've lost your money. But if you wait until the business is generating profit, you can actually then allocate that money to things that you need over time. Like if you do eventually need an office, you probably don't need one to start with. You can work from home like everybody else is nowadays. Registered business address can be your house, unless you've got some sort of covenant on the property that you live in to say that you can't use it for business premises. But 9 times out of 10 you can just use your house to start with, or a virtual office, or there's plenty of options out there to try and keep the cost down. But yeah, making a decision on this. So Xero, Sage, QuickBooks, these are the 3 that I'm quite aware. They're quite big brands. I use Xero, and it's really good for everything. You can even account for your VAT in here. So a couple of clicks and you can submit your VAT returns. And it's quite clear as well in sort of reconciliations and things like that. Now, business insurance, you have to have this. You've got to have some sort of business insurance, like public liability. employer's liability, and again, depending on what you do, you might need some extra things in there like containment insurance or cyber security insurance and things like this as well. So I have used Hiscox in the past. We use brokers as well. It depends on your personal circumstances and depends on the business as well. So your business might need specialist insurance, but again, you'll have to speak. Best probably speak to a broker, unless you want to call each individual insurance company to get a quote for each one. So yeah, business insurance must have. The next thing I would say is if you're looking at branding, websites, a logo, you don't want to spend too much time on this sort of stuff. You just want to kind of get started. So what I would say is Fiverr is definitely a good option for branding, because you can get somebody on here to create you a logo. You can just kind of write down your ideas. This is what I'd like it to look like, and they'll just give you 5 to choose from. Pick the one that you want. They'll tweak it. They'll make it exactly how you want it, and then that's your logo done, sorted. And you'll never Cloud Dolphins logo probably cost £20 maybe, and I use Fiverr for that as well. So Cloud Dolphin was created on Fiverr, and it probably took about 2 days, I think, for somebody to get back to me with the exact logo that you can see behind me. The other thing is websites. So starting out, people will see you coming a mile off because they can smell the inexperience on you. So a website developer can take you down a rabbit hole, and they can say, well, you might need this, you might need that, you might need a coded website, you want to set it up at payment gateways and all this sort of stuff. Now, all of this can be done in WordPress. WordPress is probably the cheapest option for a website, and they all look really good. And they're a lot cheaper. They're probably like a third of the price of a coded website. But again, it's up to you. It's your money. You want to spend it. I would say you could probably get a website set up, ready to go in a week through some sort of web developer, 1 or 2 page website, and it probably costs you like a couple £100. Alternatively, it's up to you. You can go as in depth as you want with your website, but I think a beta website, phase 1, get it online, buy your domain, which is like, you probably do that through GoDaddy or EasySpace or something like that. Get it online, get your email set up, because that's another thing, so that you've got a domain linked to your emails, and this gives you a little bit of professionalism as well. So when you're sending an email to a potential customer, they're seeing it coming from the business name domain, not a Gmail. It's so important. I actually forgot about this, but people email me all the time with some sort of opportunity, like marketing company, or I say company, marketing guy, because you can tell straight away if they're using a Gmail address, 9 times out of 10 it's just them, or it's spam. So they're not actually a company, and they're trying to get you to click a link to put some ransomware on your machine. But Gmail accounts, any of these things, are not trusted. I would never reply to a Gmail account, ever. So buy a domain, whether that's on GoDaddy, just get a domain, get a proper email address linked to that domain, and that's the way you'll email potential customers from. Now, once you've done that, so you've got your website, you've got your email address, your domain all set up, ready to go, you would probably look to be setting up your social media accounts. Obviously, you need to post things. You need to get attention on your brand. You may want to do sponsored adverts, things like that. Now, you'd set up your Facebook, you'd set up a LinkedIn, and then you would also probably set up like an Instagram, a Twitter, maybe some niche platforms that you might use. I don't know, depends on the industry you're going into, but you want to be able to get access to groups, potentially where you can sell your products to. And then also, this is probably the most important one, is getting registered on Google My Business, because if you're listed on here and somebody Googles you, it'll give you like the map address and things like that, and people can get to you if they need to. And Google My Business is a very important one, because this is, kind of linked to your website. Everything's indexed, and it all helps with your SEO score. So, getting ranked on Google and all that sort of stuff. So it's so important you get this done as well. Now, obviously, this all sounds a bit daunting because you've not done anything yet, but you can bring somebody in to do this for you. And I don't think it'd cost that much, or you could just learn over time. That's why I learned all this stuff myself, because these are the basics that probably, if you get 2-3 businesses in, you're probably going to want to do this yourself just to stop wasting the money. You might never want to build a website because it's quite a boring task, but and for the cost, it's better to outsource that. There's also another website called Upwork. Now, Upwork, this is an alternative option to employing staff, because obviously if you employ somebody and you've got to put them on PAYE, that's another expense of the business. Once it's on, you can't turn it off. Potentially you could get a part-time staff member, but again, has to be registered within the business as PAYE, unless they're a freelancer or got their own company where you can pay for their services with an invoice. Upwork, you can turn this on, turn it off whenever you want. Relatively cheap, and you get access to potential freelancers globally. So I think I've used people in the Philippines, in India. Again, depends on what you're trying to achieve. So if it's websites, again, you can do websites on here, you can do websites on Fiverr. If you want somebody to do outbound cold calling, you can do that on here. It just depends on what you need, really. But it's quite a good one, Upwork. A lot of people use it, and it's I've had good experiences with it as well. But you definitely need to look at different skill sets that you might need down the road. Now, most of the stuff you can learn yourself. So if you're doing your social media and things like that, you might want to use ChatGPT. That can create posts for you. There's AI image tools that will create the images to match the posts, and you can have you could potentially post 10 a day if you wanted to, because you're not actually having to think about it. You could actually say to ChatGPT, write me 10 posts that I can post over the next 10 hours, and it'll give you, specific to what you ask for, 10 individual posts along with hashtags and things like that as well. So it kind of takes out the legwork. So it's just a copy and paste task then. You probably just proofread it just to make sure that it's it reads well, and then just post them as you go. But yeah, that's the basics, I would say, in setting up a business. And I think that if you are considering it, then there's obviously a lot of research that you need to do around your own personal business plan. But just getting started is the main thing. Getting that business registered, holding yourself accountable, and just making the first step in getting to the place that's going to make you some more money, because that's essentially what you're doing it for. You're doing it because you want to make more money, and it's never been easier. Everybody's having a go, aren't they? So why not you?